Daddy was born May 6, 1899, and died April 25th, 1961. My mother was born December 18th, 04, and died April 3rd, 1988, which happened to be Easter Sunday.
She was 19 when she met Daddy. She was in a park. Daddy spotted her talking to someone he knew. He told this guy, "I want you to introduce me to her." So he met her, and they got to talking. So when they got ready to leave, she had to be home at a certain time. He said to her, "Here's my telephone number. Call me sometime." My mother was so insulted. She considered that very disrespectful. Now, my daddy told her later that the reason he told her that was that he was so excited that he lived in a boarding house that had a phone, and he wanted to impress her. He got her number from this friend, called her. She didn't take his calls. So he showed up at her house, unannounced, which really got under my grandmother's skin. But somehow he charmed my grandmother and got my mother out on the porch, and they started talking, and that's how they started to date.
Daddy was a contractor, and we helped work with him. We didn't expect to get paid. We got spending money for working.
He could do anything to build a house. He was very good. He was very gifted in estimating the cost. My father kind of almost specialized in repair work.
Papa Couvillon, I remember as being one who wasn't much for talking a lot. He was one that, by example, you came to understand what it was to keep your word, to work hard, to be at peace with everyone.
Daddy, I think, was a very spiritual person. He had a deep faith and trust in God. And also, he loved his children. He loved his family, to the point where he became possessive in a good way of his family.
I think my dad's biggest distraction was sporting events. He would put us all into a truck and take us to the LSU football games, the basketball games. We saw just about every LSU sporting event. We'd go to the Red Stick games. So Dad was real active as far as getting the boys involved and taking us to the games.
He'd drive his truck to games. Kids from the neighborhood would pile in the back. And he would drive slow down the street, and kids in the neighborhood would jump into the truck because they knew we were going to the game.
Grandma Couvillon was just pure goodness, very uncomplicated, totally focused on her children. It was impossible to get her to say which of the children she loved the most. The nearest you could get her to say was the one that needs me the most right now.
Mama, I thought, was a financial genius, the way she managed money, because we didn't make that much money. She was able to stretch the money. She worked very hard. She did without a lot of appliances that we have today.
She always wanted to make sure her children were well fed. And of course, that was a big challenge when you have 11 children. We had lots of pasta, we had lots of rice, we had lots of staples to make sure that we were well fed.
After one meal was over, she would always say, "What do you want for the next meal?" But our mother stressed one thing over and over again: you must eat a balanced diet.
Mother, she was strict, but she loved children. She set time limits, for instance, like 9 o'clock, you better be in the house. And if you weren't in the house, be prepared to get a little switching as you're going through the door.
She certainly wanted for us to be very religious people, and I think that she showed us how to be religious by her example. She said the rosary every day, praying for her family, insisting and encouraging, and of course demanding, if necessary, that we go to church also. It was a given. It wasn't a question of whether you were going to Mass. It was a question of what time you were going to Mass.
Our house on Mulberry Street, it went through several stages of construction. The house that it ended up on was a fairly large house. We had 4 bedrooms. Upstairs was called the boys' dormitories. There was a buzzer. This used to be an apartment up there, and Mama would ring the buzzer, and that was her signal that we need to tone it down a little bit.
We had several of the brothers of the Sacred Heart that came over to our family, and there was a special prayer service in which they had the blessing of the home for the enthronement. We actually had that picture of the Sacred Heart of Jesus in our living room.
Because the house was set back and we had such a large front yard, all the neighbors would come over and play. But we would have all kind of games in our front yard, football games and ball games. We played Blue, Monopoly, Parcheesi. We played a lot outdoors. There was a place nearby we used to call the Jungle. It had a lot of banana trees. We'd go exploring there.
Near the state capitol, we actually went through the open fields, over the railroad track, and we found Civil War bullets that were dug up by just plowing. We used to play cork ball, or you just throw a cork and swing at it and hit it.
There was a drainage canal down the end of our street, and we would walk that canal and catch little turtles. What we caught them with was a long bamboo pole with a strainer on the end of it. Mama objected when we ended up with about 40 turtles in the bathtub upstairs.
Stealing plums. Mr. Mellon's tree was so close by, and the plums were so tempting, and in spite of our upbringing, we could not resist getting plums from the tree. Now, Grandma Couvillon knew that her obligation was to convince us that was the wrong thing to do.
The three little ones are the three youngest ones in the family, so that would be Margaret, Louis, and Carole, and it had its advantages or disadvantages. Mom might say, everybody can go but the three little ones, but other times the three little ones got a chance to go.
There was a different standard for girls and boys in our family, and that was a cultural thing. The girls had to be completely and absolutely genteel. The boys only just had to stay out of trouble or not get caught. I mean, that was their rule. Don't upset Mother. Daddy said that often.
I think one significant thing about Mama and Daddy was the fact that they insisted upon us getting a Catholic education. Their faith meant a lot to them.
How my daddy and mother got 11 of us through Catholic schools is a mystery till today. We don't know how she did it, and my daddy did it. When they celebrated the centennial of the Catholic High School in Baton Rouge, we were voted the Catholic High School Family of the Century because we had all 8 boys at one time or another, and I think 6 graduated from Catholic High, plus 2 of them are brothers of the Sacred Heart. We worked while we were in high school, we worked while we were in college. Almost all of us had scholarships to college. At one time, I know we had 5 boys at LSU at one time. When Tommy was in about the 5th or 6th grade, the teacher sent word home that, Miss Couvillon, you know, all of your other children have been very bright, but this one is not too smart. Within about a month, they gave the children in that class an IQ test. And Tommy was so far ahead of the person in second place, it wasn't even funny.
My aunt, Agnes, bought a very small chemistry set, and he just loved that. Well, he got better and better at doing things. He developed a solid rocket fuel, and he would take these old Electrolux vacuum cleaner wands. He packed the fuel in there, and then he would light it. And so we had these black burn spots all over our yard.
Tommy was kind of a little bit of an encyclopedia nerd. We got a set of encyclopedias, and I think Tommy made good use of them.
My brother Tommy was really a genius academically. He might be in school and actually might know more on some of the topics than some of his teachers. And he tried to be very diplomatic about it, but if the teacher would make a mistake, especially in math or science, he would try to correct them. And Mother used to say, now, Tommy, you have to be polite.
I have 2 brothers that have PhDs, and they got there in entirely different ways. Tommy knew when he was in the 7th or 8th grade what he wanted to do. He was very young when he got his PhD in chemistry. Lawrence got into college. He changed his major at least 5 times before he decided what he wanted to do. Of course, he's the other one that ended up with a PhD in mathematics.
Tom ended up coming to work for IBM. He really didn't work that long in the Baton Rouge office before he was transferred to the Houston office. And you know what IBM really means? IBM means I've been moved.
IBM presented a challenge for him. He was sent to Japan and South America and France and Sweden, and he knew that each place and each type of application that he would be working on at the plants would be something new and interesting.
He had a sense of humor. He would joke. It's hard to think of all the jokes he told.
He would wait for me to be off my guard, and then he'd jump out and take my picture. Gotcha. So you have this whole series of pictures of me going, and then he would take pictures of me sleeping.
It's part of our family lore that Tommy and I were called the Dr. Buzzards. And of course, we were always teased that we would talk math or chemistry when we got together. There is a alleged document that suggests that I was explaining to Tommy all of the different combinations that would give rise to new hotel keys.
Tom was like an absent-minded professor. As brilliant as he was, the little details of life were not always significant for him. For example, when we had family reunions, we used to proclaim the fact, since he had extended family, his second wife, Dee, had 3 daughters, and they themselves had children also, in addition to his 4 children by his first marriage, and down the line, grandchildren. Well, Tom loved them all, knew them all, recognized them all, but maybe the names and the birthdays didn't always come together that well.
Tommy was such a deep thinker, and he was so highly intelligent. You know the old saying, when E.F. Hutton speaks, everyone listens? Well, you could pretty much put that with Tommy. He was always so much about being fair to people. I guess I'll always remember his kindness, his generosity, and he just seemed to be very caring.
He was probably more sentimental and affectionate and caring than he made out to be. And he was not someone that would try to draw attention to himself. He just enjoyed life. He was a very uncomplicated person, in some ways like his dad. If you have to judge a man's life by those closest to him and how they think of him, we have to say that was one hell of a man.